Good Friday afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, coming on the air because we have a severe thunderstorm warning toward the Tallahassee area, but also a severe thunderstorm warning toward Marion County as well. We have maybe a little bit less coverage of storms, which sometimes can get these storms here to be a little bit more favorable for producing some severe characteristics. You don't have, as much storm action to kind of take, the energy and kind of spread it around. It's more concentrated and that can sometimes worsen the situation. So I know as we see the instability here, you can see a lot of purple. That is really high in terms of those values that we're seeing on that scale. But let's go ahead and go toward Tallahassee here right now. This is right over town under an FSU heavy rain, some thunderstorm active, but then the warning got upgraded here to that actually coming into play versus it just being an advisory. After it was a warning a little bit earlier off toward the west of town, as we saw an increase in strength here right toward the Tallahassee metro area. And we're watching that carefully around FAMU and the like there. And then let's go to Marion real quick. I saw an update on this warning here come across, and it's just, talking about here that potential about 215. 144, severe thunderstorm is located over Moss Bluff or near Lynn, moving east at 20 miles an hour, some 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-inch size hail a possibility. So we're talking about Juniper Springs, Moss Bluff, Silver Springs, Soares there, but this is the main focus right now toward the Tallahassee Metro, toward, FSU and FAMU. They're the worst, trying to move off toward the east. Let's get to the high-res look here on the velocity. And you'll be able to kind of see here some of these brighter colors indicating stronger winds here in toward East Tallahassee right now. As I zoom on in right there, just north of US 27, we have an area here that looks pretty impressive. Got some other areas in here that we're watching as well. That's right on the edge of some of the moisture. So, maybe trying to get into the surface here, just for some degree, but not completely. We're just going to have to keep watching the situation here this afternoon to see how things could escalate as we try to get this action to maybe produce some wind damage. Unfortunately, sometimes the radar and the velocity images, they might be a little bit off in terms of the times, but in general, these look about right. But I think that latest radar scan shows that it's kind of, closer to the convection, if not really underneath it, and that could be causing some problems. So let's go ahead and pull up some cameras. Let's pull up one as we're looking out there toward Mahan there and Weems Road, Mahan Drive and Weems Road. This looks to be out near the Costco there and toward parts of northeastern Tallahassee. So we'll go ahead and pull this on up. And you can kind of see here the slick conditions on the roads. Folks having to take it easy because if you have that rain there, there's not enough on the ground yet, before it really saturates things there. You could have a situation where the oils, could kind of mix more with the water and make it slippery out there and cause some minor, even major accidents in some cases. So, got to be really careful there as we're looking, as we're tracking. I'll move away from that view for the time being, as we try to give you guys the very latest on what's going on. Now let me go ahead and zoom back in here. Now this is right there around US 90, where we're seeing some of this action. And let's see if we can get an I-10 camera. We'll try to pull one of those up here as we're looking at the situation. Some of these are down, which tells you some pretty bad weather in the vicinity then. Right here on I-10, a lot of the cameras, I'm clicking on 3, 4 of them, they're not coming up. So these inclement conditions taking hold to some degree, it would seem. We'll pull up a little to the west. Some of the worst maybe already kind of trying to move through, further off toward the west here. But you'll be able to see the ground has saturated there toward a Capitol Circle northeast there, Raymondale Road. So again, we're tracking that for you. Let me go ahead and keep, monitoring the situation. I know we're always tracking things for our 62 counties. We're in Bradford, but we're always giving you guys the latest here on all the different platforms, obviously, to keep you, your friends, your family safe and informed. Let me go ahead and keep looking here at things. We're just trying to monitor things the best we can in toward the weather center. And let me go ahead and keep efforting information here. Keep efforting information. Let's go to Appalachia Parkway and Idlewild Drive. We'll pull that up. Let's pull up a few there. Telling that story as we keep on looking at the situation here this afternoon. Seeing some different gusts here so far. I haven't seen a severe number reported, but we had some pretty strong winds getting close to those limits, but not quite there. 42 around the FSU Rec Sportsplex. It looks like about 45 at Doak Campbell Stadium, FSU. That was before the warning got issued. Again, the criteria for a warning, we talked about it before here, but it's 58. So not quite as severe, but 45 at the stadium there, and 42 northeast Tallahassee. That came into play there as we're tracking things. So we'll check some of the power outage maps here. I know sometimes when it starts to go right over that radar, it makes it hard for a second to see how bad things could be, but we'll check Leon County power outage maps because, those are really important to tell us what maybe has happened here over the last few minutes. Those FSU students, this might be a situation where they're just starting out in summer, and this is one of their first days that things are really nasty as they're walking around campus. I know how it can be sometimes, that summertime pattern there, after being an FSU student there and graduating a while back now, I was there in summertime one time, first starting out, and it was definitely, a situation there where it, it was muggy, but then you have the storms, you have to have that umbrella, but you also have to watch out for that lightning threat whenever thunder roars. You got to try to go indoors, assuming you're not trying to get to class or something, but again, it's, a conundrum sometimes in that regard. But a little over 2,000 customers in the dark there. City of Tallahassee at its map. 2,140 customers in the dark at this point. So that's not overwhelming. We're going to keep our eyes on that. I'm going to go to that Marion storm again. Let's switch over. Jackson Ritter is still down, unfortunately, which is not helping us here. So let's go to the Moody, but I might want to actually go to Tampa. This is not helpful because when the Jackson radar is down like this, because we're already in a spot where not great radar coverage exists, and now we're even making it a little bit worse. So, so we're looking east of Bellevue there. There's severe thunderstorm warning in play on 215. Juniper Springs, Moss Bluff, Silver Springs, Soares. 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, quarter-size hail possibility down there as we're monitoring that situation. So, just got to be mindful of that. Let's jump back over here. I know, real quick, speaking of Tallahassee's radar, I believe it's going to be down now to at least Tuesday, from my understanding, what I read there yesterday. So, just, it hurts us with the radar coverage, but it's just the way things are sometimes here. Things will have to be down, and then, once they're back up, though, that really helps things. Really helps us get a better handle on the situation. So let's go ahead and see what else we might have. I want to tell you about a national story that's developing now. We've seen an increase in the tornado risk toward parts there of Iowa and Illinois. A little bit of Missouri in there too, but really it's more Iowa, Illinois. Let's go ahead and pull this up. We now have a 10% tornado risk here as we're looking for parts of southeastern Iowa. You see areas there. Some of these are smaller, but then you see Muscatine, and then you have Davenport, though, right there within that, and then you have parts of Illinois. I know right over the line here, you would have some of these communities. I know we had flooding there last night. Some of these spots that are looking at things. You see Rock Island, as I try to get it even tighter here, and I'm going to take this off for a second so I can see the city names. You see Moline, that's what I was alluding to. Well, we had, that TV market, some flooding concerns there as we were looking at things and as we were tracking things there last night in that vicinity. So again, just trying to give you guys the very latest here. There's now a tornado watch in play that this has been issued. So after see the national threat start to escalate here, that goes until 8 p.m. Central Time. 2 or more tornadoes are pretty likely, 60% chance, but strong tornadoes are not as likely, 20% chance of 1 or more strong EF2 plus in terms of strength tornadoes. We'll have to watch though, and if we get some type of tornado emergency, we'll have to cut in or something that's getting close to that here. I'll be posting about that, retweeting on Twitter /XCloudCasey. So Des Moines to Davenport, we have the watch in play there, so we'll have to just be paying attention up there to ward those parts of excuse me, losing my voice, but those parts of the country there. So again, let's see what we have. Energy values, your supercell, your significant tornado parameter, some of that's there in the orange. So it's kind of a storyline there. We'll watch that, obviously. Back locally, the severe warning for Marion, it looks like it's been canceled early. So that's some good news, obviously. We like to see that. The severe warning from Marion has been canceled early. So let me see what they said about that here at the Weather Service in Jax. It looked like it was weakening, but we didn't have a great view on it anyway. But they're saying the storm, which prompted a warning, has weakened below severe limit and no longer poses an immediate threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning has been canceled. So that's what we like to hear from Marion. But we still have the warning for Jefferson, Leon, Grady, and Thomas, technically a little bit into Georgia there as well with this threat. So let's go ahead and zoom back on in. The information that we're tracking here. The severe storm is located over FAMU, moving northeast at 15 miles an hour. Some damage to roof side and trees possible, and that could lead to quite a bit of rain in spots. But, we even have a little bit of Georgia with some of this axe and some of this, cluster. It's pretty small in terms of geography of those two counties under that warning. But see, looking toward Florida, we have a lot more of the geography involved. You see Miccosukee, Wakena here, and then eventually Monticello may have some issues here as well. Though I see a boundary, involved here. Sometimes this can indicate that we're having a, situation here where, maybe some weakening with these storms, and then we could get some other development to kind of come into play though. Backing up going forward, I think the other development's really this area right up here. That's, within the warning actually, so that's kind of interesting. But, okay, we're getting some reports of damage now, it looks like. I see a signature popping up here on my source. Yeah, we do have a report of damage now. So let me go ahead and see what we have there. Let me see what we might have over on another source. As we're tracking things, as we're monitoring things here. Leon County Emergency Management reported a transformer down with a line on fire. 2 yards on fire there, 1 mile south of Killarney Estates. That's on a Vassar Road. It happened about 1:52, it looks like. So that's not what you want to hear about 10 minutes ago. Then, transformer down with a line on fire there around Killarney Estates. That's coming in to the Weather Center. That's always, so dangerous. Those lines still live, when they come down. But in this case, a transformer down with the line on fire. So. Again, I just got to be really careful here in these type of instances as we're tracking things, as we're monitoring things. I want to see how much the FSU WeatherStem site there has picked up with rain. Bear with me here. We're going to try to see what they have on their rain gauge. Looking off camera. Okay, I'm about a 1/4 inch. Just, sometimes how these are, these quick movers. Got it moving slow enough. Oh, it's estimated. Okay, the station's offline. Hopefully, things are right then, because I'm surprised to see that. I don't know how long it's been off. We don't, always use those day to day, but hopefully it wasn't because of what we just had. But, whatever. Hopefully it'll be back soon. But see if we have one over at the near the Love Building. We still have that one. I know I haven't had to use these in a little while, but let's try FAMU. Try FAMU. As we're looking at things, as we're tracking things. Okay, they had 1.43 inches of rain. So that sounds more accurate than the 1/4 inch there then. For some reason, the WeatherStem FSU is not the right information. But as we're looking here at some of the data points, we're just kind of tracking the scenario here. I know, just trying to get an idea of what's going on, obviously. See if I can find anything else here, maybe. Let's try Northeast Tallahassee. They picked up almost an inch just going back to the last 24 hours. Some of it might not be from this event, but some, not most would be. I know in the region, we had some storms yesterday, specific points there, toward different areas. Let me see. I think there's a way I can look at these now. This has been changed. Okay. Rain today, 0.53 inches, and in 24 hours, 0.91. So, yeah, some did fall yesterday. That was northeast Tallahassee. And then 1.42 inches there at a 1.43 for the FAMU site. And they've only had 2.12 inches apparently this month. So most of that falling today. So that's kind of interesting to see as we're looking and as we're tracking things here in toward the weather center. So let me see what else we might have here on other source. Around Wakena, we have some wind right now, 45 or so miles an hour, give or take, as we're tracking things. But it could be a little bit stronger, in some localized areas. So, again, I'm just continuing to give you guys the very latest here on what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and keep zooming around. I'll see if I can find the camera close to where that fire is. Maybe I'll see what I can do. It may not be the easiest thing to find, but I'm showing up right there, close to I-10. So that's just east there of 319. Let me go ahead. I don't need to take viewer comments here in a moment as well. Let me just see if I can get a camera up, though. So around Killarney Estates. I don't really see anything on one camera that's coming up. Some of the cameras in that region are down. It could be because of a power outage. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. This is around Olson Road there. Don't really see anything from this view, but we got some information now on some type of lightning impact. So let me go ahead and see what that's about. Zoom out on here, and I need to switch some other source. Okay. I saw the icon. I was hoping nobody got struck. It doesn't sound like it in that case. Luckily, it was a report of a lightning strike hitting a tree there, and then in the situation, Leon County Emergency Management reported lightning struck a tree, and then lines fell down. So that's kind of a storyline there as you're tracking things toward Leon County, toward that metro area. Let me see if we have any questions, comments for any of the viewers. I know we have some viewers that are in that vicinity. Let me see if we have anything. Don't see anything right now, but I appreciate everybody tuning in here and trusting me on this Friday afternoon. It's July 11th, 7/11, I guess here, 2025. So again, just trying to give you guys the latest. Hopefully, we won't have to sound too much longer here in the situation. We'll kind of play it by ear, see if they extend this. We'll try to wait it out about 2:15. If they extend it, but it doesn't look too impressive, then we may still wrap it up. It's just a give and take in summertime. We don't want to overdo it, but we do want to talk about what's happening. So it's a give and take here for sure, meteorologically, as we're looking, as we're tracking. It's moving out of the more populated areas, but some like there were some impacts toward Tallahassee. Even, lightning is not a severe characteristic technically, and it's still obviously a big problem impacting communities. So, as we keep on looking and keep on tracking here, we zoom out real quick, and you see some scattering of showers further east as well. Bradford County, we have some here trying to, as I back it up here, the movement's more west to east, maybe a little northerly component here. But you see some action. Let me go ahead and zoom back out. You see some lightning with some other action southeast Georgia. Marion County, I know Georgia got hit pretty hard yesterday with Storm Axon. With some of these storms being pretty robust. So let me go ahead and just keep on looking, keep on tracking things here. So this is what things are looking like on the models for now. And it's not picking up on things great. Then another lightning, the temperatures, the warnings, those are, and you see them reading warning in the light blue, but those are current. The other things, the model simulation is, okay, the latest run's picking up better, but it only goes out 2 hours. I got to go back to the earlier run to see. It's supposed to be 3 o'clock, 4, but it's obviously kind of underdoing it. I mean, the Jackson radar down might have at least a little influence in this modeling, not picking up quite right. It says stuff maybe later toward north central and northeast, and then you see stuff in Georgia starting to be an issue even closer to sunset. So we'll see if that kind of plays out like that. I had a 50% coverage on the storms today. And you know, sometimes when you have less coverage of storms, some of them can be a little more robust. We don't have any formal risk today, but sometimes things just going to happen here meteorologically. So again, you know, this time of year in this region of the country, we just, every year it happens. So let me go ahead and pull up the graphics here. This is our forecast from last night. Hot temperatures and lightning, they, you know, those both can be dangerous, obviously, as we're looking at things, as we're tracking things. And I have a 50% chance of rain today, 40 tomorrow. You see how the high rain chances go up Sunday through Thursday to 60. I did have 70 in there for Monday. I dropped it a little bit, not a lot, but a little. And we're at 92 right now here, East of Stark, looking at my Davis Weather Station. So I wanted to throw this up since we had this, you know, in here from last night. We're not going to really have changes here at this point, you know, to this at this moment. But again, we have these on our formal updates late Tuesday, late Thursday. Don't generally see these too much in severe coverage. Those already have it, you know, it's not, you know, not too far out from when we did the update, you know, previous. But that's what you can get on our formal updates here, late Tuesday, late Thursday, a graphic like this is always there. You know, the last one we did was on cloudweather.com, and then that's on the homepage. That's on cloudweather.com/forecast. You can get right to it, a direct link there after we update it on the air. We, you know, have that published there online. So that's important to kind of keep in mind. You know, hot temperatures, just make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Avoid too much time outside, you know, in a continuous streak there without taking a break. You need to take a break. You know, and lightning, whenever thunder roars, you need to make sure you go indoors. I know sometimes it's a little hard, you know, depending on how things can arise there, you know, whatever you're doing. But again, I just have to be kind of mindful here. You see the temperatures, they start dropping later on in the period, closer, if not right below average at the end. But I mean, that's just, we just have quite a bit of moisture around cloud cover, and, you know, maybe some cooler action tries to filter in. But 90 is not that cool by any stretch, but it's better than 96. And then storms on Sunday, that just looks awful, you know, not in a, you know, terrible way, like an alert mode way or anything like that. It doesn't sound like it feels too good out there. You have steamy weather, then you have storms. I mean, not everybody gets storms, but you know, 60% coverage, give or take, what that's kind of indicating toward our 62 counties. But again, you know, of course, we take a little bit more focus out for Bradford where we're at, but you know, with that, you know, factored into the percentage. But you see here, these lows, I mean, they're just a little bit above average as well, but it's already, you know, warm even at night here this time of year. This is July in Florida, so not really unexpected here. But you see 50% today, 40 tomorrow, and then rain chances really take hold. But even at 40%, you can have severe weather. Sometimes the lower chances this time of year can get you more storm action in terms of it being warned. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I've talked about it here, you know, before and even today, is when you have more instability around, you know, for the storms to take advantage of, then that's an issue. As I see, the warning is not on the board anymore, so I think they're expiring that at 2:15 for Leon and that vicinity. They're saying here with the statement, going to expire at 2:15. No longer poses an immediate threat to life or property, but 40-mile-an-hour winds, some lightning still a threat. Whenever thunder roars, you still got to be indoors there. Or Tallahassee. But let me go ahead and switch off the graphics mode right now. As we're done with this here, we'll stick with this for a couple more minutes until that warning, I know it's not on the board anymore, but officially goes away. I know as we go to instability, there's a lot of that here. These are, you know, a little bit more than sometimes you get with these purples. And, you know, even a little bit of darker purple in like Charlton County. That's over 5,000 joules per kilogram. That's already kind of high, but the thing is, you don't have enough of the rain to kind of dampen the environment in terms of stabilizing it. I know we already have plenty of moisture, but my point is we're dampening it. That's maybe not the best wording there for that, but it kind of is more stable when you have more storms around. You're not able to get as much of these as to kind of pop out at you and take advantage of all the available energy and be a little bit more aggressive here, like some of these are, you know, today. So again, I just have to kind of keep that in mind. I know I just saw an advisory pop up, and let me see. We have a couple of different areas with advisories. Let me see these we're about to wrap it, but as long as we don't get something else to pop on us. Glen Jefferson looks like, I mean, I may not stick with it because it's pretty unpopulated, even if we get another warning, unless it's something, more significant, like a higher incident thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, which I'm not really expecting, but we saw some of that toward the Savannah TV market yesterday, so just never know. But Joaquina there, Wasissa there, some of the action. I know we have an advisory toward Marion County we're keeping our eyes on. Let me put a Tampa radar in for that one. You see around Lynn, that community. Then we have, let's see, Moody radar for the Georgia action. We have advisory, information coming out toward Brunswick. It's on the edge of the radar beam because of the issues we're having with the one. But you have some winds there that could be upward of about 40 miles an hour within that box. Again, just be very careful. Let me go ahead and pull, our view toward north central Florida. Some of these are starting to pop up. Could interfere with outdoor plans. We'll have to keep an eye on them here. Not a guarantee. Some spots it will, and it is doing so. But other spots you'll get lucky. It's just kind of that give and take here right now. But if these start to block some more, then less folks will get lucky, in terms of having more disruptive activity potentially. Model guidance wasn't picking up on things good. It was holding it off to later, but with the development already, in the peak heating, that could lead to some more warnings. We'll see. It's always a guessing game this time of year to some degree because things are so much, based on micro-scale impacts here in terms of the meteorology. But I'll have to watch it. Stuff might be, less robust later because we do have more earlier, but some of it earlier could be an issue. But we'll see. We already had 3 warnings, which is a lot for 215 or 216 or so, as we're looking at things in this type of pattern. So, real quick here, let me pull up. We're getting the rain. We need the rain. We don't need the lightning. The drought index, this latest update coming in yesterday, doing better, but still moderate drought toward Marion County. Just don't want lightning, spark anything off. Of course, none of this, what to do with the tropics, but you can see here Dexter, our next name, on the list here. So we'll be watching, but nothing Hurricane Center saying in the next 7 days. But we'll have to just, watch here. Eventually something could try to be, homegrown per se and kind of spin up. So as we go ahead and see here, I see there's a severe thunderstorm watch toward parts of Iowa, Wisconsin right now here. Let me go ahead and zoom up that way. You see that in the pink there. So that's north of the tornado watch where more twisting could happen and things are a little warmer as well in that vicinity. Of course, before we wrap it, we do need to talk about one more thing, and that's just a reminder, we don't have any flood alerts, right now with flash flood warnings, at least in the our area. Those ones that go off on the phones or on the radio. So we have to just be mindful of what can happen here as we're tracking things with flash flood warnings after what happened in Texas. This just underscores the need, it helps for tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings as well. Underscores the need for folks to get weather radios. No weather radios are very helpful here and offer another method here of getting that alert. So very important. There's quite a few different kinds out there. I mean, what I've used over the years is a pretty standard looking Midland weather radio, no other radio design, and you can, if you want, I mean, I don't really use it myself, but since I have to keep an eye on different areas, but if you just want it for one county, alerts for one county, watches and warnings that are the more imminent ones here, then you can put a code in and set it to just one location, and you get it just for one county, the different alerts off the transmitter, which can help cut down on you take an action, or if be an alert in the night for something that's not impacting you or an imminent threat for you or your immediate area. So something to kind of keep in mind, as we're looking at things. And this time of year, storms can move from different directions and more so, but in the winter months, unless it's from a tropical cyclone, which generally wouldn't have that far off, you have the squall lines coming from the west, something like that, northwest sometimes, southwest sometimes, with some of the convection within that at least. But as we're looking here, as we're tracking, I know in tropical setup, sometimes you can get stuff from the southeast and the like. But again, we're going to wrap it. We'll be back as needed here with the latest. For now, I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. Thanks so much for tuning in, trusting me. Let me just check one more time to make sure we don't have any questions or comments from anybody. Okay, I don't see anything, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Stay safe out there.